So here we go. We're ready to start pressing, and you can see here, even before I start pressing, we already have probably 7 liters has just trickled out without applying any pressure at all. So I have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 what we call cheeses, and basically you saw me setting one of those up. It's a cloth folded in like an envelope over a square of apple pulp. So then, to bring it up to meet the press, we use some blocks. So I have this top of an old wine barrel and various blocks. I put some steel on the top, another piece of steel that came with the press, just to hopefully disperse the pressure out. I'm going to have to deal with this juice first of all. So I'm using these lose a tiny fraction here for a minute. I'm using these PET bottles from a water dispenser, which I picked up in a skip outside a college one day, and they're perfectly clean. They have the little blue seals on the top, so I know that they're sterile and clean. Nonetheless, I did keep them like that until I was going to use them today, and I took off the seal and gave them a fairly good scald out with this pretty hot water, not quite boiling but pretty hot. And all I'm really going to use them for today is to transfer to where I'm going to ferment the apple juice. So I'll fill them into these, and when they're 3/4 full or so, that I can just carry the two of them quite safely, I'll take them in and top them into the fermenting vessel. So I try and use stainless steel. It's much cleaner, or glass when I can. Glass, obviously, the risk of breakage is there, but stainless steel and new plastic if you can, just to keep everything sterile and nice and clean. So we'll just start. We'll start the press here now. Up in the lever, make sure we're closed up, and now you can see the pressure starting to come on. You will see the juice starting to flow fairly rapidly between the layers, and look at that, absolutely gorgeous. I'm just going to take a little sample. That's quite good. It's not too sweet. And for making cider, you only want probably a maximum of about 1/3 of the overall volume of apples should be dessert apples or sweet apples, and the rest should be made up of bitter and tart apples. So you're going to look for cooking apples, crab apples, or ideally, if you can get them, they're quite a rarity in this part of the world, is proper cider apples. Well, I'm managing to do this all with one hand, so I will need to take care of that now. So once you've extracted all of the juice and they're pressed to the maximum, then what I usually do is leave the pressure on for a few minutes and just let it drain out. Meanwhile, I'll transfer the juice into the fermenting vessel and come back, break down the whole thing, discard the pulp. You can feed that to chickens and to the pigs, a certain amount of it. Most of it ends up in my compost pile, and then I'll build up the next stack. So you just keep repeating the process until all of these buckets are through, and I'm expecting I'll have somewhere in the region of about 170 litres of juice today. I've collected up over recent weeks some milk cartons, which I'll fill with juice and pop in the deep freeze, so we can have that as apple juice for breakfast, or just as a refreshing drink from the fridge. It'll last in the fridge probably 3 or 4 days, and it'll be perfectly fine. So, you know, I usually probably 1.5 litres will do us for 3 or 4 days, and then I will take out the next one and defrost. So that's kind of wraps it up for the moment. Thanks for watching the channel, and please subscribe and check in on what I'm up to next.